It's Amazon Prime Day once again, and I wanted to give you guys a small list of things to keep an eye out for while you're shopping on Amazon Prime Day. Hopefully you guys can actually pick up some deals, and this is particularly for your Unraid server builds. Like if you're looking to do some minor upgrades, nothing too extravagant. So the first thing we're going to start with is a Quadro P600. Now, I personally like this card because it's pretty good for Plex, it's pretty good for doing transcoding, and it can be had for between $150 to $200 on Amazon when you're looking. I don't believe this is on sale right now on Amazon Prime, and this is a good alternative or add-in card that doesn't require power if you have a Ryzen CPU or an underpowered CPU that doesn't have quick sync or something to that like. So I always have one of these just in case, and also it's just good to have if you ever need to boot into the Unraid OS if you don't have a dedicated graphics card. And for the price, I don't think you can really beat it. I know that if you could probably pick up a 1050 if they're available, and that would do tons of transcodes and stuff, but that may be too extravagant in some cases. I actually don't know the price of the 1050 off the top of my head either, but either way, a GTX 1050 or a Quadro P600 I think are great. Especially, you know, as a good alternative to an iGPU. And then of course there is the very popular LSI 9211-8i. These can be had for about $70 to $100 also on Amazon. I doubt these are on sale as well, but I would keep my eye out for these anyway. This is a great alternative to using onboard SATA for your motherboards. You can literally use the SAS SFF 8087 to SATA connectors and allowing you to use up to 8 hard drives, which is really cool. So you don't have to use those onboard ones. You can still use the onboard ones if you need, but this is great for doing some simple expansion or maybe even plugging into a SATA backplane, SATA or SAS backplane. Highly recommended card. They do have a 16 version, a 16 hard drive version, where you can plug up to 16 hard drives, obviously. And there are other models available, but I'll link specifically to this one for you guys below, just to, you know, give you some ideas of things to look for. And next up on the list is storage, and specifically for cache. We're not gonna be talking about hard drives, but if you're looking for some cache drives, I would try and look for some Samsung 860s or 870s. You could probably pick up some of these, hopefully on the cheap, and you could use those in a RAID configuration for cache. So you can get some pretty incredible speeds. Now, while I haven't tested these specifically, in a RAID they should perform extremely well, especially if you're looking at something like a RAID 10 or RAID 0. And 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte versions have come down in price. I think I picked these up a while ago for maybe $190. So that was a pretty good deal, and that's why I got 2. I think the current price is about $250, and if it's that high, I would avoid it. Now, you could get the 1 terabyte versions, and if you do have to step down to the 1 terabyte versions, I would try and stick with the 870s at a minimum. And then, of course, a good alternative to just regular SATA or the NVMe drive. So the P31s from Hynix, I actually highly recommend these. Now, I haven't talked about this on the channel yet. I just picked these up not too long ago, and you could save yourself about $27 on Amazon right now for these. So I have verified that one. Now, these are the 1 terabyte version. I do plan to use these in a RAID in a future build, so we can hit 1 gigabit per second. And just on its own, this thing is actually capable of hitting near 1 gigabit transfer speeds without without being in a RAID 0. And I'm pretty sure in a RAID 1 it would also get there, but we're actually in a RAID 0, so we can get to 1 gigabit guaranteed on my 10 gig network. So the Hynix one on its own, if you only have one NVMe slot, you could, you know, try and swing one of these for about, what, $107, I believe. Not too bad of a deal. But if you know, if you're like me and you only have one NVMe slot, but you have some free PCIe lanes, you can actually use one of these. So this is the Asus HyperX. This thing will allow you to install 4 NVMe drives on there. It does not have a controller. This is a straight pass-through. So it basically is a 16-lane card that allows the lanes to be split up to 4x4 lanes. Now that only works if your motherboard supports something called bifurcation. And in my case, all of my motherboards support that because they are server motherboards. So I can stick 2 of these in here and I can raid those together like in a RAID 0 if I wanted, and I would get extreme speeds. Or I could buy 2 more, which I might do because they're on sale. And with 4 of those, I can get a RAID 10 going on, and that would be really well. Now, if you don't have bifurcation, there are more expensive options like this Dell here that has an onboard controller that will allow you to insert 4 NVMe drives and also into a single 16 slot. So they will appear as 4 individual drives on a 16 lane rail or whatever they're called, the PCI slot. And you can still use all 4 in a RAID 0, 10, or whatever you please, RAID 1. But these are extremely expensive. I think they start around the $350 mark and up. I think this one used is about $450. So it may not be a practical decision for you unless you just have deep pockets. And honestly, SATA SSDs can take you a long way and may be a much better alternative than to buying something like this, especially since most motherboards didn't have plenty of SATA ports on board. And if they don't, then you can always pick up something cheaper like this, which supports SSDs as well, and you can just use this instead. So of course, I'll leave a few links in the video description below, kind of giving you guys some ideas of, some nice to haves, little upgrades, if you will, for your Unraid server, and, maybe some other things in there too. I can't really think of anything else that I would consider as like a must have or must need or a little upgrade of that nature. So I think we will end that video here, and hopefully I will see you guys all soon. Peace. Have fun out there shopping. Don't spend too much money. Consumerism is bad, and I hate to kind of force you guys into buying stuff, or at least giving you that impression. But whatever, you'll be fine, more than likely.